Hey everyone, Wanderbot here, and welcome back to Human Resource Machine. So, how are we gonna do this? I don't know. Okay, so let's... Do we even need to do copy from 24, copy to 0? Probably? That gives us a spare. Okay, so we're gonna want to do inbox, copy to 20. Well, if it's 0, if whatever we get from the inbox is 0, we're gonna want to go down to the grab. So this'll put everything down, but we need to sort smallest first, biggest last, and put the results in the inbox. So if that's the case, what we need to do is... Oh, you know what? This is actually easier than I thought. So we want to do, first off, grab it. And if it's a 0, then we go to the sort command. If not, then we need to do a biggest first, smallest first, biggest last situation. So, in that case... I have no idea how many there would be. That's the one problem. So what we would want to do is effectively... I mean, first and foremost, this just lays out the board. So we'll just do, for starters, we'll do outbox, copy from 20. No. Copy from 20 outbox. Bump. Bump 20 down. And jump. And if 20 becomes 0... then we go all the way back to the beginning. Actually, do even... Yeah. Okay. However, before this, we need to do the sort command. Because that'll throw it in the outbox. We need to do a sort. So how do we do that? Well, assuming... 20 will be at whatever 20's maximum will be. So in this case, it'll be a... yeah, if it's a 0, it doesn't bump up. So in this case, it will be 3. So what we need to do is subtract... What we need to do is copy from... Yeah, here's the pickle. We need something to copy, like compare contrast. And that doesn't make this easy. How would I do? So say we'll have 93 on the board, then 15, then 61. Okay. So how about copy from... Nope, not copy from 2. Copy from 20. How do we sub the previous one, though? That's the question. Because what we need to do is... What if we had another 0? Well, let's just watch the fireworks for the time being. I just want to make sure that what I've got works. So that puts them on the ground. Now it gets a 3. Wait, let's roll back for a second. Okay, so he bumps it up. It needs to be 2. What if they're reversed? So... Well, that's not going to work. Okay, so reversing them doesn't work. We need the bump to be after. Alternatively, there. What if we try that? So we put the 92, then the 22, and then the... Crap, he does the same thing. What if we do... I mean, this is easy. This is actually really easy. So we want to just do... We'll just bump minus 20. And then copy from 20. Okay. No reason for me to have the order messed up there. Okay, so let's see what happens when we pick up the 0. We bump it down, we grab... Okay, so we got that good. We got that going. Now we just need to figure out how to sub that from the previous value. And unfortunately, I can't do sub from, you know, 20, which is effectively a variable, minus 1. That doesn't work. Does that? Huh. Not easily. Okay, let me think on this one for just a little while, because I'm missing it. I can't figure out the sort yet, which is the problem. Okay. Hey everyone, Wanderbot here, and welcome back to Human Resources Machine. So, I believe I recorded the first part of this episode. I could be wrong. But I believe I recorded the first part of this episode where I was trying to puzzle it out. And, pleasantly enough, I actually left us off here, which was a mess, and it was terrible. I did a lot of research. Gonna be honest, this is way beyond what I personally generally can do. This is like much more like programmery stuff. Even though ultimately the solution I have is actually fairly simple, which is nice. But it took me what, half a week to record this? A week to record this? I don't actually remember when the last episode of Human Resources Machine went up. And I would have loved to continue with this, but I got dumped, like a bunch of games got dumped on me at the same time, so it's like, alright, I gotta push things back. And I think this solution took like a good 3-4 hours to come up with. It was a mess. I had to do research. I had to look up what insertion sorts were, all sorts of things. And like, honestly, for somebody that does drawings of ducks, there it is. This shit's a little hard for me. Okay, so let's get started with my solution. I am unable to show you guys my process for coming up with this solution because it would have been a lot of me not talking and just staring at this, being like, well, what if I try this and not working? So obviously went back and took some of the old features that I had and have kind of dragged them into what I have. And then I cross-checked with some people on the forums and stole a couple of their ideas because they had good ideas. And then threw them away because the duck and it wasn't efficient. I don't know, I figured stuff out. Okay, so the hardest part for me actually was getting past 0. This was always awkward because I could never count down past. So the first thing I did, bump up the counter. So you always start at 1. That way it lets you do the if 0 to the end. So this is actually a very important step. And probably was actually one of the main reasons why I couldn't solve this puzzle, just because this game starts the counter at 0, and that hard to work with. Okay, so 1. So what we do here, I'm just going to hit play at a slightly accelerated rate. Right. Okay, so the first section, what we do is just kind of loop through this, grabbing everything from the inbox and putting it in. Every time we do, we increase the counter. That way we know we've gone too far. Holy. Let's go back down to where we grabbed the 0. Okay, so we've put everything on the board. This way, the counter knows exactly how many things we have on the board. So we have 3, 2, and 1. Easy enough as we count it down. Later, that'll be important. But so we've counted it up, put it on the board. We're not even trying to order anything like that right now. I tried doing it so it actually order itself manually as I grabbed things from the board. Problem was, I could do the subtractions, but it wouldn't, it was really hard to actually get it to organize properly. And say if I picked like a really low value here, trying to shuffle everything around was a nightmare. It wasn't worth it. So at this point, I just throw everything on the board. Okay. So now we got 4. Let's go grab the 4th thing. It's a 0. Oh, okay. Well, here, let's go back for a second. If you look at my code on the right side, if it's a 0 from the inbox, which we've been skipping past all this time, hop down here, bump the counter down. There's nothing in the 4th place, so grabbing from it it's meaningless. Okay, now we're going to copy that 3 to the lowest and the countdown. So we don't touch the counter at all during the rest of this part. The countdown and the lowest are the important things. And effectively, we're going to loop through this a little bit. So now we bump down the countdown. So now we've got... This is stage 1. So we're going to go grab the lowest, which, as far as we know, is 3, because we haven't done any checks. And then we're going to subtract from the countdown, which is, 1 less than the lowest in this case. And if it's negative, then... I'll show you when it's negative. Seeing as it's positive, we're going to copy from the countdown, which is 2. And we're going to copy that to the lowest. So currently, as far as we can tell, 2 is the lowest. Okay, now we go back up to the top. We bump down the countdown. Okay, so now we're comparing 2 and 1. Okay, so we subtract 1 from 2. It's negative. So because it's negative, we go back, we bump down the countdown. Because this means 2 is still the lowest. We're not going to remove the lowest coordinate. And now that countdown has reached 0, we're going to copy from the lowest, and we're going to throw it in the outbox. Then we're going to copy from the counter, which is 3, and we're going to put it in the current lowest position. So we've overridden the 10. That way we only have 2 values to pick from here. And we don't have to worry about ever comparing it with the, already ruled out value. This was mostly important because it was hard to get the program to ignore numbers already ruled out. And originally what I thought was like trying to swap the places, so you're just trying to count down. It wasn't worth it. It didn't work whenever you had more than 3. It worked really well when you only had 3, but once we got up into logic, which was a headache in of itself, usually it's false, but I guess this time around it's logic. This was a nightmare because you can't just put it there. It's weird. I don't know. This entire thing's a nightmare. I'm actually surprised this works. At one point it worked, and it's like, oh yeah, you have a really optimized solution. I'm like, but... And there we go. Okay, so we now copy the, what is now known as the lowest, because if you notice, we've bumped down, okay, let's roll it back a little bit. I'm getting ahead of myself here. Okay, so currently, 10 is the lowest, we put it in the outbox. Now we grab from the counter, which is the last one on the list, and we're effectively shoving it down. So we've reduced the pool of numbers we're running from, and this way we don't have to worry about a lowest value in the box. And then we drop down the counter. This way we don't have to worry about ever even touching this 3 again. If there was a deletion command, that actually might have worked as well. But anyway, so now we go back, copy 2 to the lowest, 2 to the countdown. We're only working with 2 numbers here, and as far as we're concerned, 2 is the lower one. Then we bump down the countdown and subtract the first value from the second. It's negative. That means 2 is still the lowest. So we put that on the conveyor belt. Then we grab 2. Wait, what was it? I've lost myself here. Okay. So that means 2 is the lowest. We put in the outbox. Okay, then we copy from the counter, and we copy to the lowest, which is the same value. Oh, right, because we're bumping that one down. I think this is where like the magical of like this shouldn't have worked, but it did, because I don't understand fully what I'm doing here. Anyway, we're effectively counting down the counter. It's 1, so we're going to copy to the lowest. So we've got 1 and 0, or 1 and 1. We bump countdown down. If it's 0, then we go back. And we put 76 in. Go to the counter. Put it down. Counter is 0. We restart the process again with new values. And count the counter back up. Okay, so let's speed up again. I'm just going to put all the values down, and I'll kind of explain how the letters work. I'll have to remember not to hit the stop button, though. The stop button is not the same as a pause button. I wish there was actually like a pause button in this. Okay, so we've dropped the counter again. Now, fun thing about the letters, you can't add them. You can't add a number to a letter, so that doesn't work. However, you can subtract letters from each other. So I believe C counts as 3, and I'm not entirely sure what like I is, just because I have to count up the alphabet and it's a pain in the butt. And this game's going to do it for me. So we've got 5 values. So we're going to subtract, you know, the fourth from the 5th. It's -6. That means 5 is still the lowest. G from 5. So we're effectively just going to go through this entire position and find out that C is in fact the lowest value available. Which actually makes this kind of easy, I think. So next it's going to be G, right? Okay, so here's the question. Right, so we just put C on the lowest, and then we copy down the counter. Okay, this is easy. So, because the lowest position... Right. Okay, so the reason why... the reason why I do the copy, the copy of the lowest to somewhere else, is because this. So, in this case... we put C in the outbox, and then we take C. Now, this is really hard to explain. It'll be easier when we get to G. The problem is, since I don't understand it fully myself, and have kind of happened on this one, explaining it is a nightmare. However, I will understand it better once I finish explaining it. There we go. Okay, so currently G is the lowest. And we're going to loop through and compare it against O. G still remains the lowest. Compare it against L. G is still the lowest. Okay. So we take G. Put in there. So we put I. Which is the, Right. Okay, so we put the last one. It's not that we're putting the lowest in a position. We're putting the last value in the position of the previous lowest. So originally we'd put C in the position of the previous lowest, which was just C's position. In this case, in the sequence, we still have to count down from 4. Now, we could just compare it against G, but that would confuse our logic, and we can't rule it out normally. So what we do instead is we just reduce the pool number and overwrite the previous, you know, lowest value. So in this case, we still haven't put I into the outbox. So where do we put it? We put it where G is, because we don't need to compare against G anymore. In fact, we don't want to. It's going to confuse us. There's no way we can compare and contrast. And now we bump down the counter. We're only going to count down from I, O, and L. So we're effectively still counting through the same values, but they've moved. We've moved, you know, whatever outliers, after the lowest value into position, so we don't have to worry about it again. And if people want me to explain this more, I can, like, write out, like, a more sensible version, but I don't know. So let's just speed up. At this point, I've kind of gotten the logic down, and then scrambled it and put it in the outbox. Okay, so let's get all the other numbers done, and I'll slow it down as we go by. There's not too much more explanation I can give apart from I'll just point out where I went again. Okay, so we've got 10. So 23. So we're going to get all the way down to 13. And eventually get 13 in the outbox. And then we're going to take this 23 and move it to 13's position. And that way, when we count down from 9, we still include the 23 value and we don't include the 13. if that makes sense. I hope it does. It's messy. I don't like it that much. I don't like this problem. It was awkward, and it was a headache, and it came at a very bad time for me. But I guess that's kind of what you get for the very last level of a intro to programming game. It's not easy. It's not easy business. And I think I explained my code fairly well there. Hope it did. It's been a long week. This was a rough problem to work with. But once I got it, I don't know. I put that duck there for moral support. Originally, these were all filled with scribbles and stuff like that, but they looked ugly, so I got rid of them and just made a duck. Because I had, like... I had the entire bottom row filled with, like, just placeholders of, like, places to put numbers down. Because originally I was trying to, like, put the lowest number down here and, like, work with it and just, like, subtract it against everything. Which worked up until I got to the letters, I think. Or maybe once I got here, I don't know. I just remembered, like, subtracting it from myself. And eventually just had, like, a problem where I just put nothing but zeros in. But, there we go. Actually, I almost wish I had, put in a thing that would copy zeros to all the previous positions as I counted down the counter. Just so I'd know how many positions I had left. This one's really hard to tell exactly where you're copying from. But you can just go down, you can just look at the counter and see how many numbers you have left to go. This is also, I believe, was like a 600-something step puzzle, which is like 4 to 5 times, maybe 3 times longer than the previous, than any of the previous ones. It was really hard troubleshooting this. I did not appreciate that. Oh well, it was fun, and... incredibly efficient. Ah. This is a tough one. And I did actually find, I think, 2 or 3 people that had similar results on the forums, which was nice. They didn't have the duck, though. So, my code is superior. There we go. Okay, continue the elevator. Should go back and do recoordinator. I haven't even checked for other people's solutions. I didn't have time. Let's take a look at end program. Congratulations, you're 42.
Congratulations. You've really become an invaluable instruction follower.
Yes, don't worry, your job is safe. We've replaced you with this electric box.
It's called a computer. It iterates through a list of simple instructions, called a program.
It has a small amount of memory to store data while processing, like tiles on the floor.
It has inputs
and outputs.
Its simple instructions can be used together in infinite combinations to compute just about anything you can imagine.
A truly efficient worker that never sleeps.
It's going to change everything.
Please take your things and enjoy whatever it is you people do out there. Congratulations.
I got fired. Been working at this company for 42 goddamn years and they fire me on the last day. Well, I mean, of course they fire me on the last day. Of course, the giant robots are still coming through. Freedom fighters and everything. Good game, Tomorrow Corporation. Good game, guys. Alan Blomquist, Kyle Gabler, Kyle Gray, with Alice, Betty, and Carol. Oh, Carol survived. Good for her. We've also got Boss Man and Boss Lady. Whew. I'm just exhausted trying to, from trying to explain that program. It was not fun. Space Captain Jordan Price. Great. Thanks for playing. Do we get anything else? Or is that it? I think that's pretty much it. Okay, so we got the bonus missions. I'm not really sure if I'm going to do the bonus missions. I'll try. Definitely not in this episode. Between, you know, part 1 and part 2. Like, we're obviously not going to be able to do most of them. Let's go take a look at 17 for a second. I think we looked at Exclusive Lounge, or maybe I did it. Did I do Exclusive Lounge? Yeah, I must have already done it because it's not flashing at me. I want to check it anyway. Do I show up as an old man here still? Nope, I've actually gone back in time. So let's go look at year 1. Let's see if I still have, if I have like more hair or anything like that. Nope. Okay, so there's just one transition from young to old. Funny. Oh, this is a game. Okay, so realistically, if I want to do this, I have 7 levels left. I don't know if I'm going to. I'll try. I really will. I can't promise the speed at which they will come out, though. These levels are hard. I don't know if they're going to be harder than the last level, obviously, because I haven't done most of them. But, yeah. Birdcatcher, my friend who's actually a programmer, tried Fibonacci Visitor, and he said it was really hard. And that's not confidence inspiring. I could give it a go, but... Whew, I am broken. This game has broken me. And I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun. I thought this was a great experience. I wish they had toned down the last level a little bit, because that was quite the jump. Either way, though, I'll see you guys probably on the next episode of Human Resource Machine. And as always, thanks for watching.